Welcome to another exciting episode of TMC. We're definitely excited. Today on TMC, we have a special edition called Men Talk, where it's going to be three amazing men. All three are married, and what we're going to come together and we're going to have conversation based on questions that were sent to us from single women, married women. So we're going to go into it. Don't forget to subscribe, hit that like button, hit the notification bell so you won't miss any of these amazing episodes.
My name is McNeil. Been married since 2010. Have a son that's 9 years old. Currently, I'm an assistant professor at Lone Star College, where I teach business. I enjoy teaching. I volunteer coaching football and occasionally at my church. That's about me.
My name is Jason Hart. I've been married for 17 years to my lovely wife, Lucinda Hart. We are marriage coaches and ministers here in Houston, Texas, at the Mouth of God Ministries. And we also have a coaching business called Live Hard Strong Marriage Coaching. We've been doing it for about 10 years now. We enjoy it. We're passionate about it and happy to be here.
Oh, man. I'm Kevin Meeks. I'm married to Alicia Meeks. We've been married for about 8 years. We don't have any children together. We are a blended family. So we have a family of 5. I brought 2 brothers to our marriage, and she brought 1 daughter. So we're a blended family. I am the co-founder of the Family Dynamics podcast, where we talk about co-parenting, marriage. I'm excited to be here. Let's talk.
Absolutely.
All right.
So, gentlemen, we're gonna get in the hot seat. We're gonna go around this table. Just some questions that women have about us fellas, right? All right. So the question is: often there is a communication barrier between men and women. What is being said versus what is being heard.
I kick it off. Let's jump right into the fire.
Let's go.
I think one thing I've learned, as I've obviously being married and, in a relationship with my wife and been here for a good while, but from just experience is that, when it comes to communication with a man and a woman, I heard one person say like this, that men, when they communicate to their wives, they report, but women, they report. So men are used to giving out information and sharing information, casting vision and things of that nature. And they're giving this from the standpoint of, this is where we are, this is where we're going, and this is where I want to take you. While ladies, their information over there, when they're communicating, they look to connect at a different level, at the soulless level. So it makes it difficult because men, when we share our hearts, we share our desires, share our feelings, our emotions. When we do share, if they're not immediately accepted, then instantly a man can shut off. If a man does not feel validated, does not feel acknowledged, does not feel like he's being heard, he's going to shut off, and vice versa for ladies as well too. But for ladies, is that they have a desire to really want to connect deeper. Men and women are struggling because they're looking at the same direction, but from 2 different vantage points. Men is like men and women are on a mountain. They're both on the same mountain. The husband can be at the very top of the mountain, at the summit, looking oversee the horizon, while the wife can be at the base. She can't see the horizon, but she can see the forest. So men can see vision, they see greater things, they communicate from that level, while wives, they communicate on more details and look from the aspect. And if they both don't learn how to get into each other's world and share each other's world and experience each other's world, communication is always going to be an issue.
That's good, Kevin.
Jason, I think you hit it on the head. Like, just in my experience as a husband, us as men, we are solution oriented. So when I'm talking to my wife, it's basically, okay, what we're going to do about it. Here's the solution I came up with. And that's not necessarily what my wife wants to hear. She wants me to, as Jason say, kind of go deeper on how she feels about it and what made her feel that way. And how can we prevent the emotional part of it, when I'm really like, hey, this is what I feel we can change. This is what I feel that you may have messed up at. This is what I think you're right at. And this is how I think we can do moving forward. That's not necessarily how, what she wants. So that's some of the things that I've encountered just being married.
Charles?
Yeah, so I believe, so listening to what you guys have said, so you said, what's that barrier between what's being heard and what's being said? And that's a conversation, man, I feel like me and my wife have had about 8 years. And what we had to get to was, I tell her, can you just listen to what I said? Don't listen to the tone. You know what I'm saying? Just listen to the words I said. I mean exactly what I said. But see, sometimes women will say something and that's not what they mean. They want you to read into it, right? They want you to follow up like they're saying. So one of the things I believe we could do is we can have those conversations. How do you want me to communicate with you? Like the gentleman is saying, hey, we're being solution oriented. And one of the things we could do is try not to fix all the problems, right? Try to just listen and maybe just ask follow-up questions like, okay, how does that make you feel, to just hearing them out versus going into, all right, cool, I'm a man, we go fix this, right? Yeah. Just hearing them out. And that sometimes is more what they need than anything.
Yeah, and that's good. And I remember me and my wife in our marriage, we had issues with that communication barrier, because for my wife, it was like he was communicating, in codes and things like that. And I basically told her, I said, babe, I'm not a mind reader. I can't read your mind. Let's have a conversation. And I want to kind of talk about this too, because here's an issue that I have seen, in relationship, with feedback, communication between me and my wife, is most of the time we feel like communication is just vocal, but a lot of communication, that I get from my wife is her body language. What's you guys' experience on that?
Yeah, with the body language, because they say that 60% of communication is body language.
Absolutely.
Because what's so powerful about that is because we're always reading everything. When my wife's talking to us, we're reading their body language, we're reading their gestures, their facial expression, because physiologically they're telling off something. Something is being said. The problem is how we're going to interpret it. Are we going to choose to interpret it in the moment, or give them the space to continue to share what they really want to share? I love how I'm going to call Dr. Charles. How Dr. Charles said it is that sometimes that they'll be speaking to us, they'll be sharing things, and all we want to do is fix it. They don't want to fix it and answer. They want to be present with the answer, and it's hard because, like for me, and I'll just be real with y'all. I told my wife when we first got together. It's been about 20 years now since we got. I told her we first got together, I'm gonna let you know right now, you'll never know everything about me. I was dead serious because I didn't know how to really share. I didn't know how to share and be myself. I didn't know how to communicate. I'm still learning, still trying to figure some things out, right? But that's the biggest thing that I'm really seeing is that we're not able to really understand each other's language. Meaning that can I suspend my internal voice to really truly embrace what you're saying, and then like Dr. Charles said, ask questions, because questions open us up to reality. And if I ask my wife questions, do you mean this? Because if I decided to say what you mean by I mean it, it's gonna be mad. I'm gonna be upset, I'm gonna be angry, I'm gonna be offended. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't want to talk to you no more. And I'm probably the coldest that's shutting down. I'm like, I'm trying to talk to you today. I'll just let's be real with y'all, right? And that's one of the biggest things I have to really learn is that let me just suspend my own inner conversation and ask questions. See, okay, what are you really saying? Because otherwise, that little neck roll and the eyes look. I don't want to talk right now. Now you don't want a conversation. You are arguing. Right. So that's been my experience, man.
Man, I can agree with that, bro. I'm a man. Well, I get it wrong if you do the nonverbal stuff. So you got to use your words with me, because what's understood is not. They say what's understood don't need to be explained. No, you got to explain it to me. Explain this emotion to me, because otherwise I'm gonna always get it wrong. So when it comes to me and my wife, like, she has to talk to me. Like I can't, like I process so much in my mind. I can't try to figure out what you thinking or what hurt you or what you need. Like you got to talk to me. So I'm with you, bro.
I think some of it go back to when you talk about women prefer more of the rapport. And when we keep that in mind, we can focus on, like, when we get married, we still got to continue to cultivate and build that relationship. So as we continue to do that, their communication style might change. So their needs are going to change. So as we continue to grow and develop, so that's why when you're having a date night with the wife, sit down and, talk about what's going on. Hey, and then you ask her, like I've asked my wife before, all right, when you're going through this and you say this, what do you want me to do? Like, tell me what you want me to do. And I'm going to do that.
Tell me.
You know what I'm saying? I'm a pragmatic person. So you tell me to do this, I'm going to do that, and I'm not going to deviate. Now, in a year from now, I'm probably going to say, all right, I've been doing this and I've been working the last couple of months. Do we need to revisit this? Right. Kind of like a check-in thing.
Yeah, I like that, Jim. That's some good answers, man. I'm telling you, I'm taking notes myself, man. This is really good. This is blessing me. And one of the things, man, I noticed even in the communication with my wife and I, is the thing, man. I'm a why guy. It's like, that purpose, man. It's like, I want to know what's the why behind it. What's the why behind it? Why are we doing this? Why do you want to do this instead? I mean, what's you guys take on that? How do you guys roll with that?
Yeah, for me, I'm a why person too. Like, let me understand and explain. But, sometimes it's not even about the why. It's just can I just be present with you in this moment? You may not, you may want to hang out with me, or say you should be like, my wife is very like, to spend quality time together. That's what she wants to do. But things get busy. We got lots of stuff going on. So sometimes, that we kind of pass each other like ships pass through the night.
Yeah.
So for her, she might let's go hang out. I'm like, I don't feel like hanging out today. Let's go do this. Right. But instead of asking the why you want to do all this, we got this. It's just be present. That's the hardest thing to do. Just be present with you right now. Just say, forget the why. All right, that's what you want to do. If it's going to help us later on down the line, then hey, I make that work.
Love it.
And I think sometimes I really don't ask the why. And sometimes that could be, she'll get frustrated with that because I'm one of them people. If you ask me to do something or we talk about something, say we should do this. If it makes sense, I say, all right, cool. I don't have no follow-up questions. I don't need to discuss it no further. So I'm not much of a why person, but the crazy part is that is my style of, like, when I'm teaching people and consulting people, I always ask them why. So it's kind of weird, but I do see how I can help and benefit.
Absolutely. It's this question right here. So why do you believe some men wait so long to propose?
That's like a hard decision you're making, right? You don't just want to mess up and marry the wrong person, especially no matter, let's say you're not a person that's biblical. Well, that's a bad financial decision if you marry the wrong person, right? So it can economically impact you no matter what kind of context you want to put it in. Marriage is one of those things where you really should consider everything and you need to get to know the person. Another thing is, if you are a spiritual person, it's like, all right, God gave me this person. This is his daughter, his child he gave me. And he's saying, all right, I'm going to give her to you and you better make sure you do right. You better take care of my baby. You go help me with her. I'm watching over her, but you there too. So if you look at it at that context, now you got a responsibility to this woman, these kids, and the guy, right? We got to be at first. And waiting long is like, okay, I want to make sure that I'm not getting in, especially if you've seen bad marriages or maybe you don't know how marriages work out. You want to get into something where you feel comfortable. Because this is one of the things you're supposed to do once, right? You're not supposed to go do it five or six times. You're really not supposed to get too many restarts and redos on that, right? So you want to kind of make sure you're doing it right. And I think most men, right, speaking anecdotally, before they get married, they've probably thought they was going to marry somebody else. Maybe they were pressured to by their family members, like, hey, y'all been together for X, Y, Z time. You should, y'all should go ahead and do it. And it just wasn't the right time. But when you meet the right person, you'll know. One example is my wife. One of my ex-girlfriends was the one who told me I was going to marry my wife, the one I'm with currently. She the one who told me that I was going to marry the lady I'm with now, like straight up. Just like, that's who you're going to end up marrying.
Wow.
Well, I don't know. So I gotta respectfully have a different opinion about this because I feel like men wait for that same notion. We waiting to see something, like it's some point of reference. Like everybody have an ideology of how they see marriage or how they see it going. So we wait and we had these 10-year engagements that you really missed a whole lot of time with your spouse. We got married in 6 months. And I'm not saying that should be the mark that you should have to get married. I think you need to get discernment. But at the same time, God said, when you find somebody, make her your wife and I'll bless it. So at this point, what are we waiting for? I married my wife 2013. She is nowhere near the same person 8 years ago than she is today. So if I'd have waited so much time, I missed so much of her life. I'm a different person. So what am I waiting for? Like what benchmark am I waiting for to get married to? I'm not saying move in haste. I'm saying be diligent in being knowledgeable about who you want to wear it with. But at the same time, what are you waiting for?
No, I think, man, you kind of agree. So you said 6 months. I married my wife within a year. I was in relationships longer than that. Like, that's one of the things. So you knew. And that was one of the things I was like, yeah, right. I didn't have to be pressured and nobody. That was a decision. Yeah, we got together in 2009. August, we was married in November 2010. Now, I will have to go back and say I didn't know her though since I was 16. You know, so I had known her a long time. We was friends first.
For me, I guess my take is a flavor of both you guys. My wife and I got married in 2005. I was 22, she was 21. For us, it was just a natural progression. Like, that's what you do. You know, we dated 4 years in high school. The typical football player, cheerleader dynamic, right? Whole little story, right? I got married in high school, sweethearts, whatever. We got married. One, because it was for the next thing that we wanted to do for a long time. But two, to really be honest, we wanted to live right. I imagine from one's perspective why they may feel some men are not more aggressive, especially in our culture today. Why they're not as aggressive or more looking more at the future type when it comes to that. And I what comes to my mind is that because you say you did that you're a professor of business, marriage is a risk. And the question is, are you willing to take the risk? One, like I completely agree with you in this, Kevin. Whatever you receive is what you can give. You only can give what you receive. So if you've not received anything, unless something else comes in, another dynamic comes in, like you said, Doctor, another context comes in to show you something different. Hey, this possibility can be created with a marriage. But I came from a broken home. My parents got divorced when I was 5. I've never seen a healthy marriage. My wife and I, we want to get married. It was like, yeah, we'll do it because I've never seen it. So I don't know what I'm doing, but we'll do it. You know, this is the next step. You know, as long as you stay around, I'll stay around. You know, then the first year I almost got divorced. Second year I almost got divorced again. It's like, man, dude, make the right decision. I don't know if it's a good business decision, right? But that was the biggest thing for us. You know, I think, and I imagine from other women too, they're thinking probably about some men are not willing to take that risk and jump into that because, like you said, it should be a lifelong commitment that should end, you know, only when it's to death do you part. That's what it should be. But yeah, it's a scary ordeal for a lot of people who have not really came to that space to experience true love.
Can I add this too, though? Like, I think now to answer the question, I think culturally and societal, when it comes to marriage now, men are taking longer to get married because we like marrying into your idea of marriage and what society say you should be and not the principle of marriage. So as a man now, I couldn't get married today to someone else. Like, God knew that, hey, you need to get this person because if you wait any longer, man, you might not get married because the way they doing a lot of men and what they should be, you know, it's not biblical at all to me.
Man, Paul told that right there because I really want to deal with that because there's a shift in how men are looking at this thing. But I want to, you know, just for some of the ladies that's considering getting married, I have actually 2 questions right here to really, you know, to ask. And I think one of the questions, I mean, if you guys agree, if you guys have anything to add to this, but when a woman is getting into the relationship with a man, I think one of the questions she should ask is, are you dating to get married or are you dating just to have fun? I think that's a big thing because I mean, hey, I know some brothers out there, man, they ain't even trying to get married. They ain't trying to get married. and you know, maybe maybe that's where this question is coming from because one thing I know when the man is ready, he's ready. I mean, we all basically saying the same thing. We all have the similar experiences. Man, when you find that woman, he's like, man, hey, you trying to, man, I married my wife before I went to the military because I knew, man, once I went to the military, I was silly. And I said, man, if I ain't do it before I leave, hey, I'm gonna mess this up. I'm gonna mess this up. So I did it before I went to the military, but I knew it. I knew at that point, man, there was no doubt in my mind. It was no long proposal. It was none of that. I knew she was the one.
I agree wholeheartedly. You know, if you know that's what you want to do, that's what you want to do. But I think that because, like you say, like Kevin was saying, like you're saying, the culture is dictating a certain norm. And then now the norms have changed. Since the norms have changed, I personally believe that, like you said, Kevin, that people have a story of marriage and they're trying to live out the story of marriage, but yet they never learn how to. I think people don't really understand that when you get married, you're creating something brand new. This is a new culture, a new tradition, and literally a literal new family in the earth is supposed to be expressed in the kingdom. And if your mind is not already there, if you meet a guy and the guy's not, like I said, not looking for that, he's not looking for that, move around. Don't even waste your time. Don't even worry about because you just move around until you find the guy who really wants to do that, and then you can move forward. Because if his values are not aligned with you now, they're not going to be aligned with you when you guys get married.
Yeah.
And see, and just to piggyback off of that, like some people have an idea of marriage that, like, I come from a broken home just like you, single parent home. So I didn't see a father in the home to know what to do or how to be a father because I didn't see it. And then when you got other marriages or other women who had the 2-parent home, like some things were made for a specific time. You know, if you was married in the 80s or 70s or something like that, like the family dynamic was totally different to when I was growing up. So we kind of clashing on what we think we should be in marriage. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
I think they should let that be known, right? If you're dating somebody and that's on your mind, like, you know, I'm really looking for something more long term, I think you do have to let that be known up front, right? But you also got to be committed to that up front. I believe if you with somebody and y'all almost get ready to break up every 2 or 3 months, you know, you might want to consider maybe another option. You know, I mean, you can still try to work it out. You know, those things, like, especially depending on what it is. Now, some things probably will lead you to that more than other things, but if that seems to be what's constantly on your mind, then, you know, maybe you definitely might want to proceed in a different manner than considering marriage, right? Because it's gonna be there, right? Somebody out there.
So, Dr. Charles, are you saying for our ladies, for ladies who are going to listen and watch this, right? Are you saying that women, it's not your responsibility to coerce a man to want to get married if he really doesn't really want it?
No, don't do that. Don't do that.
That's good.
No, don't do that. Don't do that.
Because, you know, some people may think, well, if I can just change his mind,
Yeah.
you know, he'll marry me.
Yeah, this is good. This is good. I want to shift here. Because I do get this question a lot. And this is a big thing going around on social media right now as far as independent women, right? All right. So this question is coming to your mind when you hear the word independent woman.
We normally look at somebody, a woman that's highly successful, probably has kids that she's raising on her own, right? And that's really not how it should be. Now, I give them kudos for doing that because that's not an easy task. I got 6 sisters and probably over like 10 nieces, and I'm not exaggerating. So I'm not harping on women at all, right? Yeah. But I think that term has a negative association with it just because some of the things that we associate with.
Yeah, I think for me, like that's the first thing that came to my mind if I want to take from that. Like you said, like Charles, all the things that swirls around it. I think that's, if we go back to the other question, it could be one of the things that may scare a man off because he may already have a negative connotation associated to that word. Independent, meaning that you don't need me. If anything goes wrong, you can just leave me because you can take care of yourself, right? What really comes to my mind, I want to take it to this part here, or I want to shift a little bit. I like how you brought out, Dr. Charles. It doesn't have to be that connotation. It doesn't have to be the definition that you ascribe to it. If a woman is independent but desires to be married, then her independence has to turn into interdependence.
Absolutely.
She has to have a desire or have to be willing to connect with this other person, the man she was married with, who's independent on his own. And when 2 independent people come together and are willing to create a marriage together, they create interdependence. Now, it's okay for you you should have your vision. You should have a desire to do things, working on whatever it is you're pursuing. But as we come into a marriage relationship, there is a structure, a blueprint, a Bible-based blueprint that you already have in. And regardless of what the word is saying, if the Bible is your foundation as a woman, you immediately got to have the same foundation. You already know, regardless of what they're saying, you still have to adhere to the foundation that was already laid, and then you build according to that. Otherwise, if you bring your own ideology and let your ideology usurp the biblical foundation, then of course it's going to create healthy scales in your relationship, because you'll begin to usurp authority. You'll begin to turn things upside down. So a woman should have a desire. You can still keep your independence. And I like to say independence like this: you can keep your identity. You don't lose who you are, but you still are coming under submission, under the mission that God gives the man to be the help me to help bring that mission, fulfill the mission, which also brings to a place where we're able to achieve the vision that God gives us in a marriage. So I think that you want to be independent, it's fine. Nothing wrong with that. Then know that once you decide to get married, you can't take on if you have a worldly ideology of independence, you have to take on a biblical concept if you want to have a successful marriage.
Hey man, I wanted to drop a mic on that one.
Right.
I mean, my only word will be foolish. I mean, it's to be independent and we talking about marriage, like I just don't think it'll ever work. And men need to be needed, and men need work.
Yeah.
And think about it, fellas. Every time we meet somebody or we meet another man, we always ask, what do you do? And if the one thing that I'm consistent in is my marriage and my wife is independent, I don't see how I could ever feel like I'm fulfilled in this marriage, or I can feel like I'm needed in this marriage. So that's why you get a lot of infidelity. That's why you get a lot of, you spend so much time in marriage trying to break down barriers and stuff that needs to be, stones that need to be turned, because this independent, for me, it's all negative.
Right. Gotcha.
I have a lot of single women in my family. And, single women with kids, they have to do what they have to do. So there is a point. There is a road where you are independent, when you have to take care of this thing. But when you're talking about getting in a relationship with someone else, you have to, now you're talking about getting into a partnership. Imagine two business owners coming together and trying to start a business, and one trying to do everything their way without the other one's input. There's going to be conflict within that business. So it's the same thing with this partnership. And I think, and I think with that word, independent woman, I think when she's coming into the relationship, maybe independent, but you have to drop that hat once you get into the relationship.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, it's like, if that's the mindset she's coming in, so we're assuming she's coming with that negative connotation with it, without question. But if we flip it on its head and say, well, independence means she understands who she is, her purpose in life. At the same time, she's willing to connect with another man. I mean, I will imagine she also is willing to submit to him in authority, but not from the standpoint. But she doesn't lose who she is. She doesn't lose her identity, because the Bible says, and I think it's Proverbs 31, that the heart of the husband safely trusts in her. So that means that, like, if I don't have full trust in if I can't give my wife my heart and share with her, if I have a desire, idea or belief that because she's very strong-willed, if she's strong-willed, that she may damage me some kind of way, I'm not even going to fully give myself to my wife, because the heart of the husband safely trusts in her. Absolutely. She would do him no harm. So my heart does not fully give it to her, but I'm willing to give it to her. The question is, what is the issue that's stopping me from fully pursuing and giving you my heart? Because if independence then has a negative connotation that you have your own desire. So, right, you have division in the home, division, two visions in a home. Then we cannot create univision and begin to pursue what God really calls to do. I think that's what's really happening to a lot of marriages right now. Why marriages are really struggling in that area.
But I think, you know what, to be honest, I think being an independent woman, the skill set that you've built up, that's a skill set and a resource that you can use for your marriage.
Absolutely.
For good.
Yeah.
In my opinion, there is a skill set to that.
Yeah. And I think the brothers too, man, because they're and I'm not knocking the fellas, but I have ran across brothers that's insecure in this area. Well, they're insecure, and they get in a relationship where you have this woman, boss lady that, you like and you're feeling her, but what she's capable of doing. And, so that's a whole another issue too, that we won't be able to deal with. Seriously, man, because that insecurity is a killer too, with this thing. So, if you get a strong man and a strong woman come together, man, you got some power.
Yes.
Powerful, man. So, yeah, man, this is good, man. Golly, man, I'm looking at the time, man. I really, man, we can keep going, man. We got so much stuff, man. But I definitely, before we leave here on today, what I want you fellas to do, if someone wants to connect with you all and what you're doing, where should they go?
Well, if you want to connect with me, I'm on all social platforms, Kevin S. Meeks. Listen, I'm heavy on the podcast, the Family Dynamics podcast, on all your podcast platforms. TikTok, like Instagram, I'm heavy on TikTok. I'm heavy on Instagram, Kevin__Meeks. That's where you can reach me.
On social media like that anymore, but come to Lone Star Sci-Fair, you'll see me come to one of my classes. You can email me at charles.mcneil@lonestar.edu.
I might have to take up on that offer, Charles.
Right.
Take a class with you, especially in that business world. Oh yeah, definitely without question. Right. So yeah, you can connect with us, wife and I. We are Hart Strong on Instagram. That's where we predominantly frequent. Also, we're on Clubhouse from time to time. Get on Clubhouse as well. Just Jason Hart. and we do a lot of rooms in there too as well. So those are 2 main platforms. We'll connect with us at all. If you need any kind of help, or just want to maybe a session. We give you guys a session for marriage coaching. You go to heartshelp.as.me, heartshelp.as.me, and then we can hopefully set a meeting with you guys.
Gentlemen, this is amazing, man. I definitely had fun with you guys, spending this time with you guys. And man, I don't know, man. I actually want to do it again, man. So listeners, I mean, go ahead and leave some comments or whatever. Let us know what you all think about this podcast, and do you want to hear more of what we have to say? Because man, there's plenty of things that we can talk about. So leave it in the comments. You have any questions or whatever, and maybe we can put this thing together again in the future and make it happen. We hope you enjoyed this amazing episode on today. And if you did, go ahead and subscribe, hit that like button, hit the notification bell, go ahead and share so you won't miss any of these amazing episodes. And if you're on iTunes, go ahead and rate the podcast and leave a review. That helps us get the word out. So we want to thank you for joining us today on TMC. Looking forward to hanging out with you again on next week as we continue to help you take your relationship from surviving to thriving. Bye. See you next week.